let me turn my YouTube. Okay, 1 second. Oh, all right. As I give people a few minutes, let me switch here. Manipulation. For those that are going to come around and watch and comment, give me a second, Black people. All right. Okay. Because I get access to the chat board better now. All right, so we are on live. So let me lower this window. And people that join, yes, see, I have my friend Crew Royalty on with me tonight, side by side. The discussion for tonight's topic, or today's topic, is titled, Are You Trained or Educated? Now, originally, I was going to deal with the events in regards to a lot of these males caping for females, but I'll leave that for another day. But now, like always, like I have previously been, I kept in my mind, but I have talked about it extensively for the last few years now. But now this is the broadcast of this. The difference between the two. Now, and educated. And to be better, let's do this to make it even easier. We're going to look at the definitions of it. And I'm not going to share on screen because y'all could look it up on Wikipedia or any dictionary. We have Google's friend. Okay. All right. So y'all could, at the end of this video, those who missed the broadcast, I'm recording, please leave views between the topic created, trained, or educated. I like to get people's feedback. Most likely a like will be also good, but it's better to hear feedback through the comments section. We'll eventually entertain within time because people are going to start some of these recordings. I like people to be interactive. Subject is good, bad, boring, etc. You must comment. Okay, fuck foolishness. So come to the table. We should have some intellectual comment. People's. I don't want to just go solely on myself on my views on this. And I know I'm gonna have a lot of females on here. That's gonna think they and don't know. We live in a society now that we have a good portion of our people that have these degrees and they claim themselves as educated. Hold on, let me mute my line because I don't want to hear that. Hold on a second. 1 second. Might shut down the window. Wait. Crew. Open your second.
Yeah, I'm here. I was just saying, like, you borging out a little bit.
Like I'm going in and out.
Yeah.
Do I
It's
like
like
I'm
getting every other word from you. Yeah, it's getting like every other word from you.
Hold on. When I go back to recording, it sounds pretty fine. I might have to slow down. I miss what I'm hearing. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So I sometimes talk a little bit too fast, so I will slow down my tone. All right. Let me adjust this. This is why I like when people are side by side me, to make sure the volume and tone is okay. I don't want me talking and then you can't hear me or I'm going in and out. So let me turn off any other device around here. Okay. Make sure you know. Now, training, whatever you want to call it. It says here, the definition word of it, from what I'm reading, it said training is teaching or developing in oneself or others any skill of knowledge that relates to specific useful competencies of improving one's capability, capacity, productivity, and performance in forms of the core of apprenticeship, or provides the backbone of context of technology, also known as technical college or polytechnics. In addition to basic training, requires for a trade or a profession. Observe of the labor market recognized at a 2008. It says here, the need to continue training beyond initial qualifications to maintain upgrades and update skills throughout work life. People in many professions are occupied may refer to this sort of training as professional development. Now, mind you, that is Wikipedia. Now let's go to educated. All right. Education is a process of facilitating learning, acquisitions or acquisitions of knowledge, values, beliefs, and habits. Educational methods include storytelling, discussion, teaching, training, and direct research. Education frequently takes place under the guidance of educators, but learners may also educate themselves. Education can be taking place in formal or informal settings, and any experience that has a formal effective of the way of thinking. Field of X may be considered educational, and the methodology of teaching is called pedagogy or pedagogy, whatever you want to pronounce it. Now, those are the two definitions. And normally, this is what they consider Wikipedia's form of training and education. And there's an etymology of the word too. But we're not going to go into an etymology of this. And as I'm looking further through this Wikipedia, it goes way back from ancient Egypt times. So let's go back. Let me open back my screen. I might have to close one window out for a second. Let me close this. All right. All right, good. Okay. Now that's Wikipedia version of education and training. Well, what does Chaos Reign view this of education? Now, this is going to ruffle some people's feathers because they said, well, you're not going by the definition. I don't have to go for the fucking definition. It's because I have seen it with my own two eyes, not by other scholars that have been talking about the difference for their views. Now, most of the scholars, they might consider Afrocentric, yada, yada, from Amos Wilson to who else? What are intellectual scholar? I think only him from now. I can't name anybody else from the top of my head. But when I read, especially his works, Amos works heavily. And I advocate most people that don't know Amos Wilson, they should YouTube him predominantly to find some of his old lectures. But I would advise to get more out of the scholar or the intellect of his caliber to really buy and read his books. And he has like 7 books. One that's supposed to be, another one that's supposed to be released I believe this year by Sabazu. I forgot what it's called, but it's dealing with something with relationships, men and female relationships, I think. I could be wrong. But that's the next book that should be released. And mind you, this guy died now. It's going on like 24 years now, since the month of January, I believe. I think January the 25th, I believe, or somewhere around the 20th. It'll be his 20th anniversary at age 53. So, but like always, I noticed. Hold on, I got no message. Hold on, make sure I'm not in. Word call. Okay. Okay. So, like I was saying before, it's like this. When you train, like definitions tell you, your process of upgrading, learning more, always taking what you learn now and try to improve on and try to better yourself. Now, other people got these degrees and are educated. And it's okay with the so-called education you get today, hypothetically. I mean, I have a different view about the education most Black people get today in this country. A little different. I view it more that is more the system just for to keep a system going. And how you keep the system going, you have to normally, once you get a degree, you have to go almost like you work for somebody for 20, hell, maybe close to 40 years. Then you might collect something at the end, and you should be after you put your time in society, and then eventually with a paycheck. But as we see now, and I'm always using baby boomers as a good example for this type of discussion. A lot now, mind you, they got a degree or not, put over 20, 30, hell, maybe 40 years, mostly working for somebody else. And really, as you see, it doesn't really show nothing much. And are facing what they call crisis. And I'm not saying this from what is being put out from news media outlets. I'm seeing this from other outlets that I discover. And I never understand about this retirement. I thought normally when people put in and everything's saved up in their 401ks and all that stuff, depending on that, this should be good for maybe another 25, hell, maybe 30 years of their life. But as I check it out and looked at it more, it is purely a lie. I see more that were very skilled, or I like to call educated for the sake of conversation, in these sort of fields put in and then come out, that they don't really not have nothing to show, but now they have to go back and work again. At an older age, the society can't really have room for them, because normally they make way for the next young person to overwork. It's like almost like a factory where you have to keep manufacturing that product while the machines might tune up a little bit, but afterward they throw away the machine and build a new one to manufacture. That's how I see human beings today. And the saddest thing about it is that because the practical education for 4 more years to get a bachelor's degree, 2.5 years to get a master's, and maybe 2 or more years to get a doctorate, officially made it. And the funny thing is not and this goes by gender again, it's not that they just made it. It's mostly the opposite sex, mostly female, black female. And I always wanted to say, how are you sure you made it? Because this, depending on what degree you get nowadays, either high paying or whatever, that is only used for when you work for somebody else. But what happens to that job that you work for whatever 10 to 20 years, or maybe less than that, starts to go somewhere else? Then what? What you do after that? You go in and try to get what we call more education. So, really, truly, it does not show nothing has to show. All you see at the end of the day is that you are now what I like to label stagnant. Because once you get a so-called quote-unquote education, there is no further growth. There is no more self-improving. There is no more to improve what we consider knowledge, wisdom. It's foreign. It is something that is unheard of. It's not something that is being presented to the population, especially when it comes to the Black population. It's like that old quote from the Bible. And I remember one dance artist said best. He wants to have the wisdom of Solomon. And in fact, since I'm talking about it, let me quote, because it's very important. 1 second. Find that book. All right. Okay. And the artist I'm talking about, and I'm only using because I have read through his book, and he put something that very stick to my head that a lot of people don't understand and never really seek. And this is to all you so-called Bible thumpers out here. That's how about you read the Bible on that nonsense. Let me give you a quote to a dance artist that not only reads the Bible, but he reads an art. All right. Find this quote. All right, found it. I'm gonna read it to y'all, and this will prove a point. And I'm only gonna read this part, this section, just to prove a point. Thank you, Jah. Start with the first two Psalms, 1-7. Except the Lord build the house, is builders, laborers in vain. Except the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stands guard in vain. This Psalms was chosen because it is one of only two Psalms written by the great and wise King Solomon. The other one being Psalm 72, which deals with reference and prophecy. We always hear that a chapter a day keeps the devil away, and made people assume that this saying is referred to a chapter from the book of Psalms. That may be true, but I don't deal with the devil business, so I choose to read a chapter from Proverbs daily. This brings up something I really cannot understand. It is accepted by men or by everyone that Solomon is the wisest man lived. Why does Babylon have a continuous singing of Psalms while we could spend some of that time reading the book of wisdom sanctioned by Solomon? Proverbs. Incidentally, there are three. Proverbs, which will be an ideal daily word for each day of the month. Take it from Cartel. A proverb a day keeps stupidity and idleness away. A proverb a day makes one wise to the way of the world. And mind you, that's a story. Now, either Solomon exists or not, that's beyond the point. And really is, to me, I don't think so. I go by the story of why would they promote idle and stupidity than trying to seek wisdom? The answer is simple, because it's not allowed. You are bred in the society to be like sheep. And I'm not talking about just the figurative language of sheep, like an actual sheep. What is a sheep? Sheep is a dumb animal. It only moves by what it's being lured to. A shepherd could move around with a staff and all that stuff, and the sheep will follow. It don't ask questions, nothing like that. It just do what it's seeing. Think about education. If people are taught every day, all day, every day, just to go to school, get this so-called education, or educate what you want to call it, then you'll be set for life. Enough. Do you really see that in today's world we live in today, in a very much technical economy, which everything is always changing? Look around you. We have, and maybe we're going to have very soon, right now, we're going to have automated vehicles. Soon, we're going to have a lot of things automated. And a lot of people that still go by the same playbook think they're going to survive while everything else is evolving, changing, growth, always upgrading. The only thing that has not upgraded in society is what you do to better yourself. And I'm not talking about just educate, but how you, well, really, it's really training, really. Because training, that's what most people do. But really, people don't look at it as this formal, so-called thing we get education, when we get a degree. Don't look at it as a form of training. And sometimes the training you get through a so-called education is not even training itself. It's the same old routine that is labeled education. So we got to know the difference. 1 second. And we have to know the difference. I'm not sure what's going on here. All right. So let me continue. As I go through looking for the video. Okay. All right. So this is my biggest issue in regards to this terminology and hearing this Reddit play out every day, even to typical people that keep reference that they are so educated, but don't know a goddamn thing about what really this educated have to show for it. Much says, no, the world is always constantly changing. Me, I try to make a conscious effort as possible too. And I have to probably take it even more deeper now that I had to embark myself with certain books now, just to sharpen my mind a little bit. And I'm probably going to take it probably a step further in that. I know the so-called training, which you know when you go through universities or any other school that most people participate if they ever participate in schooling. I have noticed and I have made a conscious decision and effort to know saying what I've once learned or going to learn further out was not only a lie, but I had to really change my mindset and rewire everything that I have learned up to this day and apply to really become in a journey to become actually educated or take or search an actual what we call knowledge. I know even reading that section that it's all with knowledge itself is a process. Age with wisdom grows with knowledge, but like always, you always have to better and sharpen your mind, at least every day. And I'm speaking for myself because it's always ongoing battle for myself to do. But I know the average typical black person, man, woman, don't seek or much less take the emphasis to really go through this process of self improvement mentally or their minds. And because of this, what you're seeing now, you're seeing the degeneration of our race to the point now men don't even conduct themselves like men and women don't even act like women now. You think with a lot of our females today, with the so-called quote unquote education that they attain, you think now they will start to see following for a long time, either follow their mothers or grandparents, which most of them are their teachers, that it does not work. For most black men, we already know this already. Some of us now are just shifting and trying to better ourselves because as a black man, you have no choice but to better self-improve self. The real black men. I can't speak for the ones that have sexual confusion, but the average black men that I'm talking right now, said we have to self-improve ourselves. It is a must, it's a necessity. The real ones. The ones that are sexually confused, I have no answer for you. I'll tell you one thing. Most of that are sexually confused, you conduct yourself like women, and therefore you don't seek no self-improvement or self-change. And this is a fact. I can say this boldly. Real bold. Real talk. I hope my voice is not chipping out because yeah. So as I said before, we have to know the difference. It is very much important moving forward to what we're seeing now amongst our race that we can't really see what's really the bigger picture. We feel that going the same route, doing the same thing, you're going to get a different result. But the world you live in today, that's not how the world works. You always got to be self-improvement, self-mastery, self-better yourself as a man and damn sure as a fucking woman. And most of y'all women, y'all need to be around actual men, and men have to tell you this. You're not getting this with women. I know damn sure you're not getting this in front of women. Because like everything, and women don't understand, you compete with other women. And the women that so-called, quote-unquote, label themselves educated, I know they're not giving you this talk. Hell, this discussion is not even talked about. And the reason why, because the dumber you are, the better you're easy to control. The more stupid and dumb you like to will yourself or will yourself dumb every day, by not self-improving your minds, your actions, or how you interact with the opposite sex, you just shoot yourself in the foot and you're going to be left behind very badly. Very badly. That's why even look at around amongst the circles we're around. We are around mostly, and people know the circle of crowd you're around always is a reflection of where you are mentally. And usually with that mentality, it shows either you're growing within your intellect or you're remaining stagnant with the crowd. Hold on. So I'm saying something. 1 second. Hold on, let me send this call because I know what's going on here. But like I said, oh wow, this thing. Hold on. Matter of fact, to bring this on home, I'm gonna let y'all hear from an elder himself. a respectful friend that I know personally, because I want this to sink in a little bit. Yeah, Terrence. Hey, how you doing, Terrence? I'm online right now, and I was posing this question, and since you're old, all right, give me a call back right away. All right. Yeah. But like I was saying before, the crowd circle you're around, you always got to ask yourself, especially if you're a thinking person, does it help put value in my life to where I'm at now, or where I just want to attain or be or want to be? And usually I look at the crowd of people, and people is right. You can tell where you are in a position in life by the crowd you keep. And I know it's with a lot of black people, male, females. But let's say for the females, for the sake of argument, mostly males, obviously most amongst men, actual men, most men are always somewhat improving or trying to do some things better. And it's going to really push another man to do better, because men compete with other men. And not just by finance, but everything we do. But for you ladies, for y'all, do you say that to yourselves when you're around a bunch of ladies or lady friends y'all with? Are these same women that you'll hear that emphasize a lot of time gossiping about how they can't get a man, or how they're gonna prove, not only they thinking about how they can prove their situation in life? Are you around those type of women? And they're always bickering and fighting over what they're not attaining or getting, keeping them a man, and you're around them attaining those type of friends. Do you want to be around that circle? That should be the question you should ask yourself. And I know you don't ask that question to yourself because you're comfortable. You feel living in an illusion is much more safer than dealing with reality. Let me say again, you're more comfortable living in an illusion than dealing with reality. These are the things you should ask yourself. These are questions you should be asking yourself on an everyday basis. And because you don't ask this, you wonder why nothing has really been fruitful to your life from this part. I notice most our people consume a lot of media, and they probably on a 24-hour, 7-day basis, I would say media takes more than half of their time. Besides the workload they might do every day, but most of the other half is mostly consumed by media. Why do I say that? Because you see from the communities you in as a result. You can see how people behave as a result. They are fully being comfortable in being what is considered indoctrinated or programmed through the social media, the television, or all forms of media outlets, which we don't control. And it becomes very problematic that your logical thinking is reflection of what you consume, what you see throughout the lens of a television screen or a plasma screen, what you want to call it. Yeah, hold on. Let me see, what's this? Okay. All right. There's a lot of weirdness going around here. Hold on. All right, let me continue. Oh, what the hell? Yeah, I'm just going to ignore that. Let me move off that because that's distracting. All right, I'm back. So So, between these two definitions, I want people to really think heavily on this. Oh, I forgot one other dude. Oh, super. Yeah, let me find on people. I got his email. I don't think I do. I think I do. Let me check. Sorry, people. I'm trying to find a particular brother's email. I found it. 1 second. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay. So, like I said, are people at the end of the day, you gotta know the difference between training and education. And there is a totally difference. I think people need to stop falling for the okie doke when people, especially our own, either men and women, especially let's say the females for the sake of conversation. Just because you got the so-called degree, that don't mean you are labeled educated. I want people to get that clear and notice well. There's more to life than just saying a piece of paper. You gotta go seek that great knowledge, And the funny thing, we have so much people that follow under Christianity. You think they would be knowing this, but I'll tell you one thing. At least the people that subscribe to Islam, they seek some form of knowledge. I'm saying they just don't sit there and say that they follow the Islam, Quran, and all that stuff. They sit there, extend their knowledge because the religion or the people, the mosque that they're under, have them seek more than just saying that you're this. They have you do extensive study on it and study outside of it, You're a Christian, you follow only one paradigm, you stay stagnant by going to a church, and maybe someone will sit there and read their Bible. And they don't take that Bible even literally serious because they would take certain passages like this, say, why would, say, Proverbs say, seek knowledge, or, all this, why they even subscribe to only one specific verses on the certain passage of the Bible? This is where thinking comes to play. And enough of our people don't invest the time to start thinking again. Thinking is a lost art amongst the Black race. If we were doing that, we would not be in certain situations today. I know the amount of trauma and torture and things that our people have gone through throughout the centuries that led us here. But now, because we are in a different time, which certain things don't change much, things that either stay the same or things have changed, a good enough of us, not all, but enough, should be investing our time and energy to do the things that we don't do enough as a collective. Minds, taking action, to little accountability, to do what we're going to sit there always play around and play off like we're not going to get done. We have to change these type of behaviors. This goes for the men too. We had to change that as well as men. We had to be, as like Amir Brown said, we had to be, if we're going to be in these relationships with these sisters, then we have to show a sense of, we got to keep our word, brothers. I know it's hard if we have to hear this, but we have to. It's a necessity. We didn't learn this in front of our mothers, or maybe our dads, depending if you both in your life or you grew up with one parent. But now, as to the journey into manhood, because of a journey itself, you have to be about it and have to walk that line with your head up. And if you don't understand what are cautions or precepts of a man, read some books on it. You know what I'm saying? I will drop links for you chat box so I can know what to look for. Because me telling y'all will not be enough. Y'all need to be seeing the testament and proof of all this. So give me a second as I find it. And mind you, I read some of the work. And then work. I tell people many times, we should be investing in a lot of people in the community that's doing something, building and shaping the mind of our people. Even regardless, we have a sense of culture. In the world, most of our culture is comprised of Eurocentric behavior and patterns. So obviously, we might be back at a certain, but really, it's still an offshore culture. All right. Exit. And I hope my thing doesn't get too slow for this. Kind of as a waiting. Okay, now it's up. All right. Oh damn. Is it still here? What if this thing went down? Oh no, okay. Here we go. I'm gonna, and I'll try as well for the ladies as well, because they will go back through this. This is very important. Okay. I won't read any of this today because, like I said, this is only going to run for like an hour or so. I'm trying to find those books. Trying to find the publications. There we go. The first PDF book, I'm gonna drop in the chat room right now. For all the young men that's over 20. No, I require this for people that's under 18, but for the sake of conversation, most of y'all dudes that's already quote unquote adult, y'all should go through this book. As I wait for it to load up. All right. It's called Obederman. Obederman is pronounced. It's a con word. Okay. I need to find my YouTube. I'm gonna put it on the chat room now. That's the first link. It's called Obederman, African Manhood. Now everybody said, why I'm sharing this African shit? I ain't no African blacks. Well, listen, nigga, check your lineage and you do the answer. You have some African blood. So stop it. For all you so-called niggas, read that book. For most of y'all men that's confused about manhood and all that stuff and think that because you follow, LGBTQ, or whatever you want to call it, or, I would advise, maybe you should read this book and get some testosterone in your system. The next book I will share Next one I'm gonna share. Okay. See if I could find it. Okay. Obedian or Abayatin or Obediatin. This is a book for women. I think I pronounced it Abayatin. And I'm gonna put this in the chat room as well. And this is for women. Now, mind you, I have not read this book because this is more dealing with women. I might skim through the book to see what it is, but this one was designed solely for the purpose of Black women. Okay. I'll drop this in chat right now. Okay. This book is for women. And there. Those are two resources for those who don't know what it is to be a man and what it is to be a fucking woman. Especially Black. Especially if you're Black. A Black man, Black woman. You read one of those books. And for y'all to go back to this recording, it'll be in the chat room. So I want people to get confused and think that the information is not there. Yes, the information is there. You gotta look for it. And hell, I'll do even better. At the end of this broadcast, I will put it in the comment section. Okay. So I let y'all know that the information is there. Y'all can't make no excuse. Look, I know most of our people in large are very lazy when it comes to seeking information. Either you want the information or not. You normally will invest the time and energy to look for the information. Other than that, you don't seek it. It's not your vocabulary. Hold on. Okay. So I think I said what I need to say right now. It should be for y'all to sit back and reflect on what has been said and discussed. I don't know anything else to really say at this point. This is my perspective between training and education. They're not one and the same. People might think they're one and the same, but they're not really one and the same. They're two separate terminologies. And usually with the two separate terminologies, they're separate in action itself. There are those who are trained, which mostly everybody in the population, especially here in the West, we call America, are trained. I would say more than 80 or 90% population, maybe. And I'm just guessing for numbers. It could be much greater. I know it's not much less. The rest, out of that pie are doing other things and are beyond what is the norm that the typical American does today. Most Americans, they live day by day, check by check. And if you live day by day, that means your thought and thinking goes the same way, day by day. Day by day. Who is BJS?
Yeah.
Oh, how you doing, BJS? Damn, you just isn't time. I was gonna soon conclude, but
okay.
No, you don't have to leave. I posed a question, and since you're older than me, you could probably give your own take on this, because I'm dealing with an elder, and I'm, up in their age. The title is called, Are You Trained or Educated? And this question goes either for men and women. It's not really depicted by sex alone, but I said from my point of view that as a Black man, a Black man, he's always self-improving. Not always, but just enough, but compared to our female counterparts, once they reach a certain level, so-called level, they stay in that level, stagnant, unless the environment has to oppose. Otherwise, they will not come out that nest. So I'm not sure if you want to give your answer take to this question itself.
That's pretty much true. Yeah, well, basically, women conform. You know, they conform to the environment. That's part of their biology, and that's part of their training. So if they, that's the difference between a man and a woman. Boys and males, and boys, men, they do things that make sense. So if you give a boys directions, they're going to question why should I do this? Does this make sense to me? And if it doesn't make sense, then they're either going to rebel or going to reject it. Most of them, but women won't do that. They will actually take the instructions wholeheartedly and not question it. Women don't really question things like that. So if you tell a woman you go through this series of educations, get these certifications, going to get this job, they will follow it, A, B, C, D on down the line. They won't even question it. Well, men will. So that's the difference between males and females.
Yes. And it goes back again about the actual educational system that we grew up under. And we look at even now, even when I left high school, pretty long time, and you left it longer than me, that it was a different feel back then as a man back then. Even now, one of the things that this teacher's trying to do is to try to conform more of the males. They even try to create a curriculum right now. I think it was on social media, how they tried, no, it actually was on YouTube. There was a commercial on YouTube called some institution. It's like an advertisement. And say how they try and create a certain curriculum to get the boys more in line, up in levels in regards to reading, writing, and arithmetic, just like the girls. But this white woman missed the boat, say, males learn differently from females. And the way how we learn is not going to be the same pace as a female because they take directions. Men question everything, even the boys question. But they don't talk about BGS.
No, they don't talk. Well, because what is the since 1972? What was the model student? White female. So they basically, that is the model that they want all children to conform to. Not just black boys, but black females. They all want them to conform to the model of the white female, which is a little bit more passive. Aggression. There's going to be aggression. It's going to be more verbal. It's not going to be physical. Be more verbal. And that is the model that they try to get kids to conform to. So using your words, talking about how you feel, using your feelings, how you feel about something, rather than always logic or facts or something like that. Because most of the kids, especially most of the kids that were actually started school after 1980, it's more about feelings and less about facts.
Interesting. Very interesting. So I would say, like, let's say children that were born in the 70s that were like even in school during the 70s and then starting off middle school and high school in the 80s. That's when they start really watered down and say, to go more by feelings instead of the simple logic of things, So if you weren't born in a certain time frame where you had to still question certain things, then you're pretty much screwed as you get to adult age, born from the 80s down, most likely. To some, not all, but to some.
The bills were passed in 72, and they started the transition
in 75.
They started the transition. I started to see the transition in like 72, 73, because when I was because I think I was in middle school. I was in middle school, but when I first started coming up, girls couldn't wear pants to school.
Oh, really?
No, they couldn't wear pants. And then in like the early 70s, they said, well, you could wear pants on a certain day for girls, Friday. And then after that, it being whatever you want to become more unisex. So there was a slow transition to making girls more like men and making men more like girls. So, but when I was, like I said, when I was in middle school and high school, you still had they always pushed boys not only toward more logic-based stuff like math and science, but also trades. Like you had metal shop, you had wood shop, you had at auto shop that you had to take as a boy as a trade. There was no home economics for boys or cooking classes for boys like there was for girls because the gender roles were still there. But in the 80s, they started pushing. They started switching up. In fact, there's literature that said they wanted to push more boys into home economics and nurturing classes and stuff like that because they wanted to blur the gender roles. And they started pushing more girls into, forcing more girls to go into trade things like shop and auto class and stuff like that.
Oh wow, didn't know that.
So this is intentional because they wanted to soften the boys and harden the girls, give this one gender neutral medium.
Oh, that's crazy.
So to do that, they had to. So to do that, because in 1912, I think it was 1912, they've noticed the Prussian school system was making boys, what they said back then, more feminine, because they had the female teacher in front, right? So they changed the curriculum in 1912. There was more boy-centric, more shop classes, more physical education, more games, more PE. In other words, stuff that actually adhered to more boy nature. So basically, they shifted the education system more toward boys because the Prussian school system actually tamps down boys more. So they adjusted that, and then in 1972 they reversed all that.
It's a period of over. It's 1912 to 72.
We're
looking almost, if my math is right,
70 years. It was 60 years. Yeah,
actually 7 years because 1912 to 1972. That's 7 years.
Yeah. So anyway, this is. I mean, it's in the literature. I mean, I haven't presented it, but there was a huge, like 5 or 6 years, there was articles and papers and stuff like that talking about how the school system was feminizing boys and they needed to do something because the boys are coming out not being, men as, whatever the early 20th century men were supposed to be like. So they started adjusting the educational system. 1972, they wanted to do it the opposite. That's how come, over the last, 40 years, 40, 50 years, there has been this slow push to actually feminize the education system. So now it's to the point that sometimes if it wasn't for the voice and the name, you couldn't really tell whether you're speaking to a male or female. If you just took the text and what they're saying without the voice or the name, you couldn't really tell. You can't tell because I've done because like I said, I've had young men on my hangouts and heard them talk, hear them talking. I heard them using female language instead of think, and I know it's I feel. I said women talk like that, and they have the same argument. If you ever had a girlfriend, there's a certain argument style that they use, which is deflecting, going in circles, trying to, change the subject, that kind of stuff. So, and there's a lot of argument style that a lot of young men use that women use, but that's what they've been taught. It's not something that that's naturally occurring. Something that they've been taught because the teachers and their mothers and stuff like that. This is the way we argue. This is the way we debate things. But that's intentional.
And it's interesting because I noticed the boys that were coming up and they come participate in these so-called hangouts or discussions that are not even 30 years old. I can tell from not only their way they talk, from their voice, but their thoughts and actions is the same from like a woman. And in a society, your society can't maintain the way it is if the males are conducting in that fashion, because other men are gonna look and challenge other men, and if they feel the sense that you're a little moist, they don't really deal with you. Matter of fact, they probably draw distance. But I know it's one thing, BJ, since I'm talking about it, this gets controversial. that I tell you, and I did broadcast on this about real men don't entertain funny men, i.e., sexual feminized men, because we don't waste time with that. Because if you're not even acting in your nature, what you have in front of actual men, you serve no purpose. But women, they entertain it all day, every day. Hell, they even defend the men that are in that direction. So it tells you that women, you are bullshit. You don't want no man. You actually want a man that you want to control. You prefer a man that's more feminine than anything else.
It was that in the short term, yes, and that's what they find out. In the short term, yes, but in the long term, no, because when the decision has to be over time, that's going to wears on women, because women are looking to nest and looking for a man to lead. And if it's a constant negotiation, that what it wears both parties out, but actually wears on women. And so they may be together for 2, 3, maybe 5 years, and then they divorce. That happens a lot. So basically, in fact, the literature even says that they have done a better job at socializing men to a certain standard, and not as good a job as socializing women. So that's the rift that you're seeing.
Yeah.
And so, and basically, I get a lot of guys coming to my channel like that is because the way they've been taught, the way they've been socialized, when they get it to be an adult out in the real world, they're having trouble. They're having trouble socializing with women, going on dates with women, that kind of stuff, because they've been socialized not to be aggressive, to be non-confrontational, to be supportive, to be emotional, and that kind of stuff. And
feelings.
Yeah. So the white women call them soy men.
And BJ, it's like the mothers do this intentionally, because you'll raise your sons for the next woman to want to deal with, but just to control. Hell, I one time was going to be really disrespectful, say, ladies, stop lying to yourself. You just really want your sons, you really want to make your sons be your actual husbands. You know what I'm saying? Probably you are actually having intercourse with your sons, because I'm seeing stories of this now. So this is where the degeneration of our race has now lead up to this sick degenerate culture, Western culture. Is creating more I like to say very much ill people, where even society doesn't want to deal with it. That's why I find men that survive this type of sickness, they are turning a blind eye and going a different direction with it.
Yeah, I've been noticing over the last 30 years, the women are treating their children like objects instead of people, especially their boys. Because I saw like 30 years ago when they wanted instead of them treating him like raising him like a boy, treating him like a boy. You can see them dressing the little boy in bright girl colors. You see them having boys in ponytails or even pigtails. You see them not wanting to, not just cut the hair down, but also not even shape the hair. Because I had that problem with my daughter, because all the women wanted his hair. Women like hair, okay, especially black women like hair.
Oh yes, most definitely.
So you have a 4-year-old, or a 3 or 4-year-old boy that has hair done like a little girl.
Oh wow.
And so so that kind of screws up his, that's kind of screwing with his gender identity. I mean, if you listen to feminists, there's no such thing as gender identity is wrong. Okay, it should be fluid. And it's not. Gender identity is based on your biology. They didn't just come up with this stuff just because, okay, we're going to decide men are going to act like this and women are going to act like this. No, they've 100,000 years taught them, okay, this is the way men act, and we're going to give them an identity that fits their biology, and we're going to do the same thing for women. So these gender roles aren't just willy-nilly. They're actually based on what human beings actually do. And so when you start screwing with that, guess what you're going to get? It's what you have now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you know, funny, somebody asked a question. Dave Tao asked, BGS Igmore, is it possible to fix these men? That's one guy from Chapman Pro question.
Oh yes, yeah. Is it possible to fix these men? Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Well, eventually they have to be fixed because men are very practical. Okay, if what they're doing is not working, they're going to seek out something that does. You know, I mean, there's going to be a few that's going to fall through the cracks, but most men are going to say, "Hey, um, I can't, I can't socialize with people. I can't. My life is not working the way it is. I can't get the women that I want. I can't get along with women or even other men. Okay, we got to find another model." That's how come you have stuff like Ibmore, MGTOW, MRA, all this kind of stuff, all these, pickup artists, all this kind of stuff. Well, men are actually gravitating to it because what they're doing is not working for them.
Indeed.
So yeah, so basically what we're seeing now, this angst that we're seeing now is men trying to fix themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And it's gonna come to the point that I always see just only a small percent of us gonna really get it and fix it, but the majority of it's gonna fall for the wayside, because at the end of the day, we gotta follow nature at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think it's going to catch on. It doesn't have to be. Everybody's not going to be enlightened, but the thing is, even if you don't actively say it or put it out, if these ideas kind of start to percolate, it's going to activate certain things inside people. A lot of guys are becoming more what they call red pill.
mm-hmm.
Even guys that don't claim red pill, okay, you're going to see something that works or you're going to see something that feels right, you're going to go with it. And that's what's happening. The women actually bucking against it. That's come you have all these commercials about toxic masculinity and stuff like that, is because guys are getting off the plantation. They're leaving the farm. Said, okay, no, I don't want to be like this. This doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's not supposed to work because at the end of the day, and I tell you this, you don't want to deal with the presence of a real man because he doesn't want to be reduced to a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Like a better, even me as man, I don't want to refer to be subject as a bitch, just like you, BGS. And I tell ladies this: if you want to be around men, I tell them, listen how they talk, see how they deal with logic, and how they do in their actions with the logic. You see, women don't understand that, we as men, we are doers. We have no choice because men have to do things, not only for our survival, but as men, because, we have to defend the environment. And if you've been around, and like most of these males that they complain they don't want to deal with on stuff, I tell women or ladies this: stop entertaining these type of males you don't want to deal with. But I know you have to stop entertaining because it's easy, because this environment makes you feel empowered. And the reason the environment does, because it allows you to feel like you're in control. But as time progresses, they're slowly taking the control out of your midst now. You're going to have to come back on your knees to this black man, whether you like it or not. And a lot of them don't want to see that, but it's coming. It's already here.
It's pretty much already here. But anybody looking at the data could have told you that at some point that the party was going to be over. So yeah, I mean, they've been in the background they've been saying that for about 10 years. Okay, it's at some point the party's going to be over, and I guess finally they're getting ready to call last call, and I guess this is it. So a lot of people didn't believe it, but it is what it is. I mean, it wasn't rocket science. So I've been warning the ladies for the last 2 years. Hey, you got to get right. You can't keep doing silly stuff. You got to get your shit together before this stuff comes. But now it is what it is. So now they have to scramble and do it the hard way.
And you know how like most people act more when they have to be put against the wall. So scrambling is the next form of panic. Oh, I got okay. And I say, well, if someone has to push you in a direction that you're done for already. I tell people preparation is better than anything else. And like always, if women like to naturally nest, then they're gonna be the most that's gonna be hurt the worst than anything else. And the children gonna hurt this the most too.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about BGS, a lot of women that took on and take on the side daddy, which is the government, the white daddy, on the last 51 years. Come on, when I look back, I said they've been taking assistance back in the 60s. I remember Martin Luther King said it best when he was sitting on the panel, talking about they were taking this back then in the mid 60s. So now you've been pampered for over almost half a century.
Yeah.
So now when they start take back and start cut back, you're fucked now, you know, because you had your children on this for the first generation. Then you have another second generation. So now you have almost 3 generations on this. And nothing is sure. You have not built nothing. You have not built the communities. The communities have been falling more as decades pass. So when they come in to say, now we're going to take back, they have the right and the means now to do now because they stagnate our race heavily and participate in the stagnation.
Yeah.
Worse. And you don't want to take credit for that because you feel you can't do no wrong. And you teach some of our male sons that are adults that they can't do wrong. And see what's happened? Now we're sitting there pointing the blame on ourselves, but we're not looking at the role that you play. And you don't want to take no account for that, which is a problem to me.
Yeah, well, yeah, black women, black women in particular don't like taking accountability for whatever they've done because it's too easy to blame it on black men and be believed. So, like Angry Man says, black men are sin eaters for black women.
Yeah, man, the biggest punching bag on earth right now.
Biggest punching bag on earth. Yeah,
us, and I just don't like it. Yeah. Let me read one more chat. BGS, what I see here in Europe, millennials chicks think being a single mom with an exotic baby is a woke of credential. I didn't know that.
Well, let's put it this way, okay? That is not new.
I know, and I just started notice that.
It doesn't have to. That is not new. Having an exotic baby with good hair, so that all the other women can coo over it. That's been around for 100 years, man. It's not new. You just notice it because that's part of your peer group, but that's not new.
Yep.
And where you think the idea of good hair and pretty eyes and that kind of stuff comes from? You know, back in 100 years ago, that exuded class. In other words, if you're closer to a mulatto or the mulatto class, which in the black class was the bourgeoisie or the upper class of black folks, that exuded class. So if you had a baby with light eyes and fine hair, as they call it, fine hair, and lighter skin, that baby would have certain advantages in America. So basically, that was a sign of a sign of pride to have a baby like that. So that's not new. So millennial women are just doing what their mothers have done for hundreds of years.
Yep. And you know, it's interesting. I remember you did a broadcast and you read certain articles. I think another dude named Mr. Big J, some X something. He talked about article on Ebony about back in the 40s or something when a lot of sisters were proud and eager when they were sworn with non-black men. And you know, it took them seriously then, but when you mentioned, and even with the book Children of the Slaves,
daughters of the Trade, yeah,
and I might eventually try to buy that book down the line shortly. That this information, this is not something new now that I think about it. And I know a lot of black men were complaining and bring us, but I tell you, you gotta bring some form of receipts. You know, we can't just be talking about. Now that we have some books like this, it makes it more solidified the point of what some were talking about. But like me, I don't really run off the mount. I say you gotta at least show some form of information. You know what I'm saying? Because you and me, we were not born during them eras. All we see is what we see now, but we didn't know anything past 100 years, much as 200 years or 300 years. All I've been hearing from a lot of women is that, you know, the dudes were just chucking it up for centuries, and this is that the reason why we failed. I said that's one reason, but there's many other aspects, you know.
Okay. It's you're talking about why we failed. Okay. The thing
Yeah,
is, the thing
yeah,
is, what the narrative that we've been sold about us in slavery. Okay, like white folks just ran over there from America, conquered a nation, just hauled a lot of people back. That's not true. Okay, especially from America. Okay, um, basically, when they say the slave trade, that's what they mean. It was a slave trade. Okay, the slaves over here, or the black folks that came over here to the Americas, were traded for goods. Okay, they weren't, they might have been captured by somebody else, and either a war or a debt that they owed or something like that. But the thing is, they were bought and sold long before they even got to the continent. And they like to say, the Daughters of Trade said, before say a person got onto the boat, that person might have been traded for 3 or 4 times before they even got to the boat. So it's like they were like property. It was like a chain of property. They might have been acquired someplace else, like in the middle of the continent, and then they go through a series of hands before they actually get to the final destination, even before they even get onto the boat. And the last time they get on the boat, they're even traded for, they're actually sold then. So there were those people actually traded for, and for the first 200 years, you really didn't have over, I think, you didn't even have over 400,000. Well, first 150 years, you didn't even have over 150,000, 400,000 slaves, 400,000 black folks, period. And you had maybe, I think it was 200,000 slaves that were actually in America in 1780 or something like that, right before America actually wrote its first constitution. There was only like 200,000 or 300,000 slaves. Okay, what happened is that they started bringing over more female slaves to breed slaves. So the vast majority, I would say 90% of the descendants of slaves, were actually bred here in America. They weren't brought over. They were bred here. So the population went from 400,000, and I think it was 1780. I got to look at the chart again. And so by the time of emancipation, 80 years later, you have 4.5 million. You had a tenfold increase. The vast 90% of the descendants of slaves here were bred. They weren't brought here. They weren't transported from the continent. They were actually bred on slave farms. They actually breed slaves.
And BJS, you mentioned that, and I remember there was a certain section on Claude Anderson's book about that around 1790, when they had to stop importing, and then they start going crazy and start breeding.
Mm-hmm.
And they never talk about it. The only time people really want to get a good picture of it, they had to watch a movie or a documentary called Goodbye Uncle Tom.
Oh yeah, Goodbye Uncle Tom by what's his name?
French director.
Yeah.
And I watched it, I think, more than once. And if you really want to know a real glimpse of how it was, that's probably the best depiction of what we went through.
Yeah.
And that didn't really wasn't really played much in America till the 90s. They hit that for 20 years. And the reason why, because if you look at the time what was going around America, I can see why they did that. You know what I'm saying? So people understand the information is out here. We just have to look for it. This is not something. I mean, we could take up a book and read it, which most black people don't like to entertain. I understand, but say you had to do simple little research. You know what I'm saying? If you could find some old books, read and get an understanding of our situation.
Female slaves were actually rewarded with their freedom if they had 10 or more babies. So if she had 10 to 12 babies, on her 10th baby or 12th baby, she was actually given her freedom.
I agree, and I believe that.
Yeah.
Because remember, us as race people, we could produce a lot of offspring, especially black women, very, very fertile.
Very fertile, yeah.
That's why after the enslavement, they always had a glimpse of saying how much really black people they have bred it for the last, let's say, 30, 40, or whatever, since they started the process. And I say 400 within over 4 decades. That scared them. Say, if that means if they produce that within 40 years, imagine the stuff alone for a century.
Mhm.
You've been over the population before they start. That's why, if you think about bees, that's why they start import more of
Well,
them from Europe in the
yeah.
1800s.
Well,
1800s,
yeah,
because
There's two reasons. One, because they had to expand territory. Got to remember, in 18 was it? I think it was the Louisiana Purchase in 1812 or something like that. That
yes,
the,
yep.
and then the Mexican American War expanded it on the West Coast. So you had this vast territory that you had to populate. So that's one reason they didn't want it populated by black folks because they've been overwhelmed. So they had to import what displaced peasants from Europe to actually come in and populate the land.
Yes, I agree.
Hmm.
Agree. And another guy by S. Kirky said the African illegal immigrants Pukis are being kept men here in Hungary, I think it's Hungary. Number of biracial kids jump. I think Hungary. I think that's a country. Hungary.
In Hungary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Place.
Yeah. Well, basically, you have to get your numbers up by any means necessary because if you below replacement, your population starts to die off. So a lot of that is to keep up their replacement numbers, so that the country doesn't die off. There's whole towns in countries like Spain and Italy and even parts of, well, not France so much, but Spain and Italy and a whole lot of other countries where whole towns are just dying off. I mean, there's nobody there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when the population start die off, you see a lot of I guess more savagery, maybe.
Not savagery. It's just, I mean, there's nobody there. I mean, the towns, the certain smaller towns just die off because there's no people. So it's not even savagery. It's just a slow erosion of your country and your culture. As there's nobody to actually replace it. And eventually, um, other people will actually start to come in and fill that void. That's what normally happens. That's what Quigley says. If your population doesn't hold and starts to decline, at some point you're going to have a faster growing population coming in from place else to actually fill that void. Which is why a lot of countries want to, if they don't mind not increasing their population, but they want to at least either hold their population or slow down the rate of decline. Because that's what will happen. In other words, if you don't do anything about it in 80 years, you're going to have other people coming in taking your territory.
Oh yeah, and they want that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Always about power, my people at the end. It's all about power. You know what I'm saying, and
numbers
are one of the key, but it's always about control at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one I think there's one question one person put out. Dave Tao, BJ's Igmar, what big shift we are going to see in 2020?
In 2020 is, it's not, we've already saw a shift, but in 2020, I think it's going to be more about challenges because we've already seen the shift. You've already seen the increase of technology. Okay. So it's not going to be a shift. It's going to be, you're going to have to make decisions. Okay. How much automation are you going to use? Where are you going to use it? How many people are you going to use to work? People that don't work, what are you going to do with them? A lot of things as far as technology, as far as reducing cost. You reduce cost, you're going to reduce people. In other words, all that stuff has to be handled because you have this. The shift is already there. Now we have the fallout from the shift. You had the same fallout in Scotland and in England back in the what is it, the early 19th century, the late 18th century, early 19th century, between 1790 and I would say 1830, because that's where all the Charles Dickens novels came out of, with the poorhouses and the orphans and stuff like that, because of a lot of those orphans the parents lost their jobs or lost their livelihood. They couldn't take care of these kids, so they basically sent them to orphanages. So you had a lot of these displaced people because of the machines took their jobs and took their livelihood, and the shift had happened. And the thing is, now what do you do with the shift? So they had to adjust to it. So now the shift has already happened. Now we have to. 2020 is going to be an adjustment period. I don't think you're going to have another. Well, it's hard to say when you're going to have another shift, but I don't think you're going to have another shift until like after 2025, maybe like 2029, when when stuff accelerates so fast. Then you're going to have another adjustment period. But I think 2019 and 2020 are going to be an adjustment period because you're gonna have self-driving cars. You're gonna have drones. You're gonna have a lot more robots. You're gonna have a lot more artificial intelligence taking people's jobs. You're just gonna have that because capitalism is about making money and competing against other folks, and other folks are doing the same thing that you're doing, or doing stuff that you won't do. So you have a choice. Either you either fall in line or you're going to get behind. So I think that's what's going to happen in 2020. It's going to be it's a decision point.
And a lot of people, that's where it's going to be. You're going to fall in line or be left behind.
So left behind. Yeah, we're going through this. We're going through these decisions now with say the shutdown. Okay, that's part of it, but also food stamps, also Section 8. Are you going to allow people to be homeless? You're going to make the homes cheaper? You're going to do something with the banks? Nobody knows. You have to make some decisions.
A lot of cutbacks has been made, and we're not going to really see the fully until after the shutdown. But as we see right now, a lot of them being made right now. Yeah. Even in the room with the box of foods and stuff, and a lot of people said box of foods. I say, well, that's alternative than giving you $600 wherever you get from EBT or wherever the hell you get monthly. And it's funny when Valdez did a video on his live stream about it, and how one anchor talking about said they get in 100 and something, and was it EBT or some stupid card? I say, hold on, now damn well people know said that right there was a damn lie, and I know some people that are getting more than that. Anytime I said this is how much it's making, so it's good for the economy. You can't live off no $125 a month on food. That right there, see right there, somebody called it out, but that's me.
Well, because it's a supplement. Yeah. It's supplemental. Supplemental. It's not supposed to be something that you live off of. It's supposed to supplement your income as far as food. Let's say they call it a supplemental nutrition program.
All right. Let me read these other chats. S. Curtis said, "Yeah, I'm a medical school here. African, Asians, and other parts of Europe come to Eastern Europe cost the cheap of tuition. Medical school can be for, I think, 4,000 US to 17K. I think it means 40K. I don't think that's what he said. That's one chat he said. Another thing he said, influence of China is truly global. Even here, it's all over the place. They are new white people, economic, think colonizers." Yeah. And before you say anything, anybody else have any questions? Speak now. I'm gonna wait for the chat, but I'm not sure if you got what this man just said. Those are two things he put out.
Okay. Well, China is next up. Okay, it is what it is. China is next up. I said that actually 2017. I think it's a video called "The Pimp Announces the Game." And talk about Xi when he actually went to the World Economic Forum to lay out his programs for the next, I think next 5 or 6 years, which is Belt and Road, and a lot of the initiatives that he laid out at the World Economic Forum. So basically, he was announcing what his model for the world was going to be. So China is going to be everywhere because, in their estimation, they have taken over control of the global infrastructure.
Yeah, the most industries, especially things that's being made, massive production. They control a whole bunch of that.
Yeah, they've controlled manufacturing for quite some time. The thing is, now they're going to move into taking over the banking architecture instead of and moving away from the SWIFT system that we've been on, and the World Bank and not the WTO, but the World Bank and IMF. They actually have parallel agencies to actually handle that kind of stuff. So basically, they're slowly but surely taking over the reins of what the United States and the West has done over the past since after World War II. So they're basically taking over that. So, yeah. So basically, that's what's going on. That's what you're seeing.
All right, and one last question, man. Said BGS Igmart by David Tao. Name the top 5 skilled people we'll need through this global economy.
Oh man, okay.
That's a big one. I'm not sure if you want to answer it in this.
Okay. Always, well, not actually programming, because you're gonna have to write programs to actually coding for AIs, coding for robots, that kind of stuff. That's gonna be important, obviously.
Cybersecurity.
So what?
Cybersecurity.
Well, cybersecurity is coding. So all that is coding, right? Coding. I would say growing food.
I know.
Learn how to grow food. Mechanical skills are always going to be necessary to fix things.
Let me start.
Education in some shape, form, or fashion. That's going to be important.
Digital education should be one of them. If they should make their education digital, because that's what everybody uses now.
Yeah, and basically education, you have to look at it not as a local thing, but also a global thing. Because I was talking to Dr. Johnson, and a lot of highly educated people, especially women, have lost their position. But the thing is, they lost their position because they're thinking locally instead of looking globally, where their education and their credentials actually matter. You know, you won't make the same money that you made in the United States, but the thing is, what a growing country doesn't have the skills that you have, so you can actually make a decent life someplace else. A lot of people don't look at that. Well, that's another thing. I think that's 4. And basically, the biggest thing is I would say being a hustler, an entrepreneur, because learning how to manipulate systems. Say if you're not an engineer, or you're not a coder or something like that, or you're a jack of all trades, and say you need to set up a water system for your local community, okay, you have to know how to integrate systems. You have to know how to pull different systems from different products or different systems from different aspects and actually integrate it into a solution that actually works. That's really going to be the skill. How creative can you be? How can you take various items from different aspects of different systems and actually put them together to a solution that works? So that's really going to be the biggest thing. If you can be creative and do that, you're always going to have a job. You're always going to be able to make your own money.
Yeah. And another thing I would say, and the education, and I tell most people that are skilled in math or all those type of educational formats, they follow like these other educators, doctors like Dr. Boyce Walkers, or all these cats. These guys create a digital product, and that is global. You know what I'm saying? So I tell people many times, if you're an educator, you know what I'm saying, you don't have to really leave the comfort of your home. Just create a product that works and market. And the best way you market, and the way how you market, everybody's gonna buy your product. It's that simple.
Sometimes you can stay at home, and sometimes you need to get on a boat or a plane and go someplace else. You have to be able to be flexible, especially in this global economy, man. You got to be flexible. And I heard a guy a long time ago, man, maybe like 10, 12 years ago, he said the sons and daughters of America may have to get on a boat and go someplace else to make their living.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. As economics gets more hard, people are going to weigh the options. They're going to take the options to the fullest extent. And if you think about now, most of our people now, if they're not traveling enough, they're going to be traveling now. Because they're going to find life outside, maybe here in the West. But like I said, the world is a big place, so you got to understand as best possible. You know what I'm saying? We can't leave our hoods and then think this is where it is what it is. I mean, the system is not going to allow it. It's going to push you in directions you don't like.
Yeah, it's better. What is it I always say? I always quote that line from Margin Call. Be first, be smarter, or you cheat. And sometimes it's a whole lot. She said it's a hell of a lot better to be first. So if you have a skill and that skill is not recognized here, find some place where it is, and don't be afraid to get on a plane and get on a boat or whatever and travel there and find out. You know, a lot of people have made their fortune someplace else in what we call third world countries. They've made their fortune. So don't be afraid, you know.
Yes, yes. All right. For all those that were on the chat room and those that watched today's broadcast, and I tell people catch the playback. You know, I will leave some links. Also, I'll probably leave BGS. I'm not sure if you in the chat room or anything like that, or in the comments. Leave your link so people can find your page.
Okay.
You know? Yeah. Besides that, to all the people that listen to this broadcast, let the chaos reign.